The Schnee family is one of the most engaging stories in all of RWBY, and while the story is still ongoing, there is one key component that has been removed, and that is the man that brought the Schnee Dust Company to the pinnacle of success and fortune. The man that brought the name Schnee into every house in Remnant. The same man that subjects his workers to cruel labor. The same man that isn't afraid to get his hands dirty in order to come out on top. And the same man that created a fractured household. Jacques Schnee. And with his family, there were so many directions that they could have taken his character and the family dynamic. However, with his death at the hands of Ironwood, I wanted to discuss what this does to the Schnees and where their family goes from here. The situation in the Schnee house was already tense, and this of course bled into the Atlas arc. While Jacques may not have wanted to help orchestrate a grim attack, his hands still weren't clean. He knew this, Atlas as a whole knew this, but most importantly, his family knew this. Winter, Weiss, Whitley, and Willow all suffered under his rule. And while some of them are factors for blame, the Schnee family at the end of Volume 8 was finally uniting. Once Jacques was out of the picture, Whitley with some time was able to become his own person, helping the citizens of Atlas and Mantle, with his sister Weiss by his side working together. Willow helped save Weiss and Whitley from the Hound by using the cameras that she installed for everyone's protection, and Winter was finally getting in touch with her sister. While everything wasn't perfect, the family began to work as a whole while Jacques was in jail. However, moments before his death, we had a glimmer of something different. I wouldn't exactly call this good, more like expected.
Salem can have the rubble. We'll all be long gone.
Are you going to leave me here?
No. When we're finished, we'll move both of you to safety.
Oh, Winter, thank you.
Oh, don't thank me. It was Weiss's decision.
Jacques' reaction to the news that Weiss is allowing him to get to safety. A lot of people saw this as out of character, but I think it suits him. Jacques has always had this cold, straightforward demeanor when he's in public, but the moment he's in his own home and around the people that know what he's like, he's different. This was especially true once he was actually caught by Weiss in front of everyone. All of his walls went down, and he really was just a selfish man-child. I'm not the biggest fan of this. I would have loved to see this man stand 10 toes down on business, but that's not who he is apparently. I do find it hard to believe that the second things don't go his way, this is how he acts. In all of his years of business, the moment when he's not in control, he just fumbles. However, this reaction could have potentially set up a few different paths for the Schnee family dynamic. Given the situation in Vacuo and Atlas, the SDC most likely lost their main headquarters. But given how they're so large, I'd expect them to still have multiple factors in at least Vale and Mistral. I highly doubt that given the history, that Vacuo would allow any sort of continued mining from the SDC to go on there. Thus, Jacques can't run. He doesn't have any real place to go off to. I'd imagine he tried to play the role of the good father / husband. We saw that during the epilogue that tensions were already high for the Schnees. Jacques' presence certainly wouldn't have helped, so he tried to stick with his family, namely Whitley, as that's one of the few things that he believes that he still has control over from Atlas. I would have loved to see this. While Whitley didn't spend a huge time away from his father, we saw his determination to save people. He was more expressive than usual. It would have been nice to see how he would have acted if he had to see Jacques again. Outside of a company manner, outside of his grounds of control, would he still be able to put on his business persona after this stunt he put in Atlas? The people of Vacuo hate Jacques, the people of Mantle despised him, and now he holds nothing for the people of Atlas. Jacques would have no one else to turn to besides his own family, and it would have been nice to see how he would have dealt with that. Winter is too busy defending the city and being a maiden. Weiss is presumed dead, which is something we'll go back to later, and with Willow, well, we see that without her husband, she's taking back her life. But if he was still alive, I'm not sure if she would have the strength to do that. I can't imagine the abuse that she went through during her marriage with Jacques, but there is a possibility that seeing him again would have been too much for her, and she would have went back to her alcoholic ways. I can only see Jacques staying close to her and Whitley for his own safety. Now, the big one, Weiss. She's presumed dead. Would Jacques care that his daughter died? I don't think so. Deep down, I don't think he cares. The company was his first priority and he just needed an heir, so he kept on trying for kids. And frankly, he probably made Whitley as a backup. But once Weiss comes back, I think he might feel that that's his best option at some sort of sympathy, some sort of comfort from Weiss, regardless of how he feels about her. I think out of all of his kids, Weiss would be the one to provide that. And by that, I think she'll be the one who can tolerate him the most. Not love him, not like him, just tolerate him, ensuring that he has his basic needs in case he stubs his toe and he can get it treated. I highly doubt their relationship would have ever gone beyond that. Winter has a huge responsibility now, and if the dust ever settles and she's still alive, I can only pull from real life examples, and the relationship never fully becomes whole. Whitley is still a young and growing boy, but there's still a chance that he could tolerate his dad as well. The family is of course rocky, and personally, I think it would have been great to see those interactions. But he's dead. So where do we go from here? I'm sure by the time the epilogue starts, the Schnees are aware that Jacques did not make it. While they're definitely unsure of how he died, it's a weird situation because they know that there's no way he survived the falling of Atlas. Therefore, they get no closure with him. No sappy goodbye or form of I love you or even an I'm sorry. Just their own thoughts. I'm curious about Willow the most. If they ever get a chance to reflect as a family, will she say that a part of Jacques loved them? Will she try to excuse some of his actions? We learned from Weiss that he admitted that he only got with Willow for the family name. I've seen it more than enough times in other shows. The regretful mother trying to at least shed some light on her deadbeat of a husband. Not exactly trying to justify his actions, but to give her children some sort of comfort in knowing that they weren't fully hated by their father. It's a tough spot to be in, especially since we saw Whitley's immediate reaction to their father being taken away. That's his last memory of him. Out of the 3 children, Whitley probably knew his dad the best. The Schnee's reputation was already bad enough before the fall. We saw the people of Vacuo taking out their anger on Willow and Whitley. But what's going to happen when the people find out that Jacques is dead? They'll probably rejoice. Will Willow and Whitley try to come in his defense in some way to protect their father/husband? I wouldn't put it past them. Not in a, he was a good person at home, but more like, that's still my deceased father. How do the people view Winter, the daughter of such a man? I'm not sure if the news that Whitley was made the new heir, but if it was made public, I can see people taking their frustration out on him even more. But with his death, now really is the best time to make a new name for the Schnees. Winter as a maiden, Weiss as a fallen hero, Whitley trying to do his best in the world, and Willow trying to show people that she's not a monster. Because for the first time in who knows how long, she's actively engaging with other people and is heading in a better direction. She's trying to help others, not just drown in her sorrows. Speaking of sorrows, Weiss, after coming back from the Ever After and learning that her father didn't survive, she's probably gonna crash out even harder. She already wasn't okay in the Ever After about losing Atlas. And yeah, her father wasn't the greatest, but he was still a part of her life and she didn't want him dead at the very least. The only one who I can see not caring about her dad's passing is Winter, mainly because she was the first person to escape the house and she just killed her father figure. Ironwood was a huge part of her life and essentially a pseudo dad for Winter. She was always near him, and like Weiss said, he practically groomed her whole career. He entrusted her with the secrets of the world and the maiden powers, and ultimately, she was the one who dealt the last blow to his aura. While Jacques was her biological father, he was never her father. I do hope the Schnees get a dedicated arc to mending their family. Volume 8 was a great start, and I hope we get to see the impact that Jacques had on his family, and finally see where the Schnee name goes from here.